What's up, podcasters? Another episode, and I finally named the podcast. It's going to be called Elevate with Scott Handley. And I'm going to bring so much value, so much content, so please tune in. And today I have a very, very special guest. You've probably seen her out there on social media. Close with Karina. Karina Cano, thank you for coming to the podcast.
Man, thank you so much, Scott. Thank you for the introduction. I feel special.
Well, I'm honored to share the platform with you.
And it's an honor to be here as well. Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to sit here and be able to have a one-on-one conversation. We know that with our crazy schedules and kind of running around all over the place, it can get a little tricky, but you're always literally it's so fun to have a conversation with you.
It is, and it's a pleasure working alongside you, Karina, because you have this insatiable work ethic from the jump that I've noticed. Where does that come from?
You know, I want to say that it for sure has to come, one, from the drive of I have a family. As you know, I have 3 kids. I am married. My husband, and then I want to say that it really does start as well from the beginning, from my mom, from my dad. They've always been very hardworking parents, and to know that they got together when they were so young. And my mom was 15, my dad was 16 when they got together, and lived in Mexico, came to the United States, and just worked their butt off, literally, and that's all we learned. That's all we saw, and just the responsibility behind it, the scheduling, the getting up for school, and the other thing too, my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a while until she decided it was time for her to work, but she was always nonstop.
Okay.
She was always nonstop. It was
so
always
you always
something.
saw that as a child?
Always saw that growing up. And then, of course, I always told myself my parents sacrificed to come to the United States. So we're given a lot of opportunity. Mm-hmm. We got to take advantage of it.
Wow, you have a very deep why, and
Yeah.
It sounds like your foundation was just ingrained from the beginning. And, we like to say, hustle hard or work hard, and you have an insatiable work ethic, as I mentioned, but you have something not a lot of people have, and that's discipline. I've seen you go to the gym at 4 a.m., you're in the office, your office arrival time is consistent, you hit phone calls, you're very disciplined on top of work ethic. How about the discipline aspect of things?
I would say that part of it comes from learning it from you. I did have a 9 to 5, and of course show up, clock in, do the whole, go to lunch, go home. But I realized that being in this industry, it's not about, a lot of people think, oh, you can just go and handle your schedule however you want, take a 3-hour lunch, take a 2-hour lunch, show up midday, leave before 3. That's not how it works. When you really are wanting to be here to, one, help people, more so they're not looking for a $10 item.
Exactly.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. So to be able to make myself available to show that discipline, to work like somebody's watching me. It's just has always been my mentality and I see it. I mean, I see it on you. I see how your time is so to the T. Even your calendar, I admire your calendar so much because that literally takes everything. You write everything down. So it's super.
Your calendar's heavy yourself.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But I think that's part of the discipline, just making sure that you're staying within a time frame, knowing exactly how your day's gonna be planned out. And then, of course, if any surprises arise, how it is that you're gonna handle it in the most, smart way possible.
Yeah. Karina and I always like to say, if it's in your calendar, it's a non-negotiable. So, we both put it in and we get after it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, things happen, right? Where you're, dang, I got a flat tire, or you get a call from school because the child is sick, and things do happen. But the beauty of this industry is that if things do arise, you're able to work your schedule around it and still work from Starbucks, still work from home, still work from your car.
Right.
So that's very important for me. But discipline definitely was something that I had, but not as crazy as it is now that we're in this, and that I'm in this industry.
Yeah, and you wear multiple hats, you multitask, and not only do you show up, Karina, you show up and always ready. I mean, you're always very professionally dressed. There's not a wrinkle in your clothes, like makeup on point. Like,
oh, thank you.
You always are completely ready each and every day after getting up at 4 a.m., after getting 3 kids ready for school, after, you know, you and Ruben getting things together in the morning.
Yeah.
It's admiring to see, and also motivates me as well to just see how hard you are working for your family, and you always do it with such a positive spirit about yourself too.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate the compliments, and to be honest with you, it truly does also take a village. I mean, my husband, he's my right hand. He's ready
Shout out to Ruben.
Yes, shout out to my husband. It's very, how can I say it? Just the help. Like, hey, honey, you know what? I have to show home at 8 a.m. because the client has to go be at work by 9. Okay, don't worry about it. I got the kids. I'll drop them off. I got this. Or, hey, honey, my client gets off of work at 4:30. I really need to show them this place. It seems to be popular. Don't worry about it. I got the kids. I'll make dinner dinner should be ready by the time you get home. It's that support. It really takes a village, and it takes a good partner to be able to understand that in the industry that we're in, we are needed by others in that aspect where we have to, kind of set our boundaries, of course, but at the same time, have those around you understand that, hey, I may have to step out for like 5 minutes. I got to take this call, or hey, things arise, of course. So, but most definitely, and I think I have learned with these years to be able to manage my schedule to where I know, okay, this is my time with my kids. This is the time with my family. But yeah, it's just a support through and through for sure that helped me get to where I'm at.
Right. I think a lot of listeners that will probably, tune into my podcast understand that responsibility, and you guys have a tremendous amount of responsibilities. To get that support, does it take proper communication? Do you guys maybe like sit down on Sunday nights and map out your week, or is it just kind of off the cuff? How do you guys kind of level out each other like that?
So it really goes based on a day-to-day basis. This morning, hey, what time do you plan on, doing this, or what are we doing after work, or do you want to go out for dinner, or hey, like today I said, hey, I have a showing, and then I have a showing at 4:30. I'll probably be home closer after 5, but I have to come back to Fresno because I obviously don't live in Fresno. I have to open doors for a client who wants to measure on their new home because they want to buy furniture, and so having to just plan out the day, kind of give him that heads up, and honestly just having that communication. He's never not going to be home and say, I wonder where she's at. Is she okay? Like, hey, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. And same thing with him. As you know, he's his own business owner as well. And so having to communicate irregardless throughout the day, whether it's a quick text or whether it's a phone call, it's super important. And again, laying down the foundation and the boundaries, and let it be known for sure with him and with the kids too.
Yeah, I think that's a huge hack and a golden nugget you just gave a lot of us. It's almost like a huddle before a play. Every day we have plays to run. So just quick little huddle here, there, get on the same page, and that way you guys can go out to the workplace and execute, and that way you come home for family time as well. Do you believe in the concept of balance?
Absolutely. I do believe that there has to be a balance between your career, between your business, between family time. Vacations are definitely something we look forward to. And kids, it's when it comes to the kids that it's harder for them to understand your schedule sometimes. But when you're in vacation and you're having a good time and you remind them, like, this is why mommy and daddy work very hard. Here we are. As they're getting older, they're starting to comprehend. They're starting to understand, which is very important as well. And so the communication, the balance, like I said, we plan some vacations. and I know you plan vacations yourself too.
Yep. Yeah, I truly feel my balance didn't come into play until I got married. Because when you're trying to scale a business, you won't always have balance. So there was times in my early 30s where I was just completely business, and didn't have time for relationships or personal stuff. So I was just all in on business, but I wasn't balanced out, and I wasn't getting the return that I wanted outside of business. So once I got married and then having children, I understand the concept. I would never let business carry into my time with my children. And like we talked about, that's one of the best things about getting into this business is being able to create your schedule. You know, I'm not going to miss a soccer game for my daughter, or Christmas carols that she's singing at school because of a job. Yes, we grind very hard, but when those moments need us, we're there for them.
And that's exactly, you said it. We grind so hard so that when those moments arise, you know exactly, okay, this is my stop, and here's where I'm gonna be. And I love to see that. I love, you know, we've been knowing each other now going on 4 years, and being able to see how it is that you and Daisy manage your guys' schedule, how you have your daughter going to school, your drop-off days. I love that. I love watching you be not only a business partner, not only the head of Western Pioneer Properties and financial, but also being a dad. Like seeing that connection that you have with your kids. And I love watching when you're out at the park with them, when you guys are doing pizzas at home. I mean, believe it or not, I watch all of that, and I admire that so much because, again, in this industry, we're in high demand, especially you having so many people as your team members and your business partners. You know, we can be sometimes, you know, pulled one way, pulled the other direction. And so watching you take off the broker hat, the business partner hat, and just put on the dad hat, it's so admiring. It's so beautiful.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, that gives me the gratification. And then it gives you kind of, like you touched on earlier, is your why. So it just reinforces that. So then when it's time to come back into the workplace, we execute at a very high level. I know you came into this business through property management, but I would like to take it a step back. What was Karina's first job?
Okay, my first job, you know, I haven't had many, as crazy as it sounds. I've always been that person that when I find a job, I try to stay there for as long as possible. I like to learn the ropes of the job. I like to be always one that, you know, whether it was a supervisor or a district manager could count on me. So my very first job was actually, oh my gosh, it was in Fashion Fair. I was actually a part-time retail employee at Fashion Fair, and I worked for the store that no longer is here, but it's Limited 2. Oh, okay. So I worked for that store for about I'd say maybe about a few months. It was more of a part-time seasonal job. I got the worst schedule of Black Friday that you could think of. But I was going to Fresno State, so I didn't know how to drive when I was in college. It took me a long time to get there. And I would say it was more so my parents knew what they were doing. Because if Karina would have had a car since she was 16, it would have been, she was taken off. But I would actually hop on the city bus 6 a.m. in the morning.
Awesome. Okay.
We lived off of I'd say Ashland and 99 area by Central High School. And I would hop on the bus, go all the way to Fresno State, which would take forever.
I didn't know this.
Yes. So I would go on to Fresno State, go to school, and then hop on the bus and go down Shaw to get to my job. And then Dad would pick me up in the evening when it was time to get picked up. So I didn't really officially get my first car or license or anything till way after I was probably maybe 18, 19.
That just shows why you're so independent. So you would take the fax bus by yourself?
Yeah.
Interesting.
By myself.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I started taking the fax bus and learning how to get my way, kind of get through town. Probably when I was late, senior year. But I'll tell you what, Mom sometimes was available. But if it was something that wasn't really a productive thing to do, she's like, okay, you can find your own way. It was way, it wasn't Uber times. There was
Right.
no car pooling time, like, but yeah, I really did, and you being exposed to the public, doing, using the city bus, you see a lot.
Right.
You see a lot of good and a lot of bad. You meet a lot of people. But overall, that's really how I kind of got my way around until Dad bought me my first car finally, and that's really how it all started.
I love that story that you just told me about the bus. It doesn't surprise me because not only are you independent, you're a very strong woman. And that's one thing I've noticed right away from the 4 years we've been working together. I've seen you being put in situations where it required a lot of strength, mental strength, emotional strength. And you just have this stoic ability to not let outside forces get the best of you. And have you always had that strength, or did that come where, through time and through circumstances like taking the bus and being independent? Is that something that was built like a muscle, or is that something like you feel you've always been very strong?
You know what? I feel like I've always been a strong person. Okay. I think it's just my personality. I mean, I see myself and I kind of see my siblings and how they are, how all of our personalities are so different. And I see it in my middle child. She's my identical. This is literally my mini me, and she is a strong girl.
Oh, she's gonna be a boss woman.
I met my match, I will tell you. And so I see her, the way that she is. I see a reflection of myself at her age. So I'm like, I've always been this way. I've always been. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have a very emotional side to myself. I do have a very caring side to myself. I do
that
have
I see
a very,
all the time. Yep.
I've always want to be able to help people from the get-go. Since I was little, I was always what they would call like a teacher's pet. I was always the leader in the front of the line. I was always the one staying after school, like helping my teachers. And shout out to my teachers all the way from like kinder until, and shout out to the ones that I probably drove nuts. But I was always that teacher's pet. So I've always wanted to help.
Right.
And so I would say that my full-on character really just comes from birth. I feel like that's how it is. And I will tell my mom, and I would ask her questions like, Mom, out of all four, we were just having a conversation. I said, Mom, out of like the four of us that, that you had, it's 4 siblings, which one gave you the easiest time when it came to getting up and going to school? She, right away, she's like, it was you. You were ready to go. I had no problem with you getting up on time, getting ready, putting on your uniform, and, you were ready for me to do your hair and take you to school.
Don't gotta get ready, you stay ready.
Yes. So then, of course, just questions that I ask, and I just wonder, because now I'm the one who's the parent.
Yeah.
Now I'm the one getting the kids ready for school. Well, which one's the one that's hard to wake up? Which one's the one that's super easy? Which one's the one that, gives me the hardest time? And so we talk about that, and so it's just crazy how the story flips. But most definitely, I feel like I was born with just this personality of being strong. And as life comes and gets you, it just gives you that extra, skin on top of what you were already, born with.
Right. And not only is it strength, you do have that like mothery kind of loving, protective way about yourself. And also there is a side, don't mess with Karina either.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I try, especially when it comes to like people that I care, my clients,
Yeah, you love hard.
I love hard. I love hard. I'm passionate. When I'm passionate about something, I'm passionate to the T. But also I do have a point where I know when to put my foot down, when to speak up. I'm very vocal. I've learned how to be not so opinionated because as I get older, I realize that people don't take things as you maybe mean it one way, and other people are more emotional, or you got to be careful and care about others' feelings to a certain extent.
Right.
But I do have a little feisty side, or maybe a big feisty side to me. But again, I think it's a good balance. There's that feistiness and strongness, and then there's also that loving, nurturing, that I care. What can I do to help you? part of me as well.
See, there's a ton of takeaways in this, Karina. Just, you in general as just, a strong businesswoman, mother, wife, husband, that to yourself that, a lot of people, you're giving a lot of good value away right now. How do you deal with, let's say, haters? I don't know if you've ever had any, or just dealing with people that maybe don't see eye to eye with you. How does Karina handle that?
As I've gotten older and I've gotten more into this industry and have really opened my eyes to different personalities, before I would mind, maybe when I was younger, maybe when I was in high school, but as I've gotten more mature, I let it be. Before I would be like, oh no, this person's saying about me, oh, I gotta go confront them. I gotta go see what's happening. Like, I'm ready to fight here. And now it's more like, look, I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know the kind of person that I am. And should somebody question it, then I let them question it the rest of their life. I don't need to sit here and waste my energy on something that is negative when I could turn it around and waste it on positive. So I
nice.
use it to that. And I can't say there hasn't been times where people have been mean, or people have been rude, or people have had really bad intentions, or have had to do whatever it takes to taint what Karina is.
Right.
And I think as people realize the type of person that I am, as they get to know me, I've always said this, as I gotten older, I realized, look, I can be friends with the whole world. If a friend of mine doesn't like someone because something that person did to them, they technically didn't do anything to me. So why am I going to sit here and judge a book by its cover? There's always two sides to the story. And as much as I would love someone or I care for someone, there's always that point of courtesy where you're not going to sit here and you're just going to be like, oh, no, I'm not going to talk to this person because, oh, I heard this about them or I heard that about them. There's the courtesy behind that. And I like to read people. I feel like it's another part of my personality where I like to just I don't give myself as a whole automatically.
They got to earn it.
They got to earn it, as well as I know that I have to earn, people's trust and people's, just in general, just get to know people.
Is that when you're observing someone like that, are you looking at, body language, tonality, energy? What are you looking for?
Absolutely. I look at all of those keys. I look at tonality, body language, energy, how it is that they speak to someone, how it is that they speak to the next person. And quite frankly, I feel like just as a whole, there's no need to put up a front about anything. You're yourself, stay humble. I love to love, and then I also love to if my energy doesn't match with someone, again, I'm not gonna sit here and be rude to them, but I'm also not gonna sit here and just because there's something that maybe I'm just not maybe iffy about.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit here and just fully give myself, to the person.
Right. And we're in a business where we're dealing with the public, so we know we're not going to be able to please everyone, number one. You made a great point earlier that you don't place judgment off of other people's opinion. You place judgment upon your own interactions. And I think that's a great takeaway that you just stated, because that's how people get judged, by the book of the cover. And you won't do that. You'll judge them upon your own interactions. So I think that was a major takeaway, guys, on that one. Now, I'd like to see how Karina transitioned into real estate. You started with property management background, correct?
Yeah, I did. I started in the property management background, and I started too with when I became a homeowner. And I bought my first house when I was 21 years old. And since then, between my husband and I, we have acquired some properties together. And just recently, we bought some land, and we just always are always open to, to that, just becoming, just buying, getting our assets up. We have kids we want to leave, inheritance to. But I will say that I was working a 9 to 5. That's where I started working with the like a big major audience, different personalities. You were the property manager. Things break. I mean, you should know, you know this yourself. Things
Right.
break. You're always on demand. Rent, checks bounced. I mean, you name it. So I started in the property management business when actually I had my youngest daughter was getting her newborn pictures taken, and the photographer, she was actually a property manager, and we connected instantly. And right away she said, "Hey, my job's hiring." At that time, I was working at like a grocery store based type of environment, and
Okay.
it was tiring. It was very tiring. I remember, doing a lot of heavy lifting, moving pallets around. I mean, I was doing it all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then she said, "Hey, there's an opportunity, at my job. Were you looking for a job? I know you're on maternity leave right now." And it was something about that. I said, "Hey, let me give it a try," because my husband was also working for a property management company. And he always also said, "Babe, I don't want to see you doing that heavy stuff anymore, the carrying the milk crates and stocking up refrigerators." And he said, "How about you go into an office job where I could see you just with your makeup done, your hair done, all nicely, professionally dressed, working, on the front of a computer." So this opportunity came about, and so I took it, and I got the job. And I was
It's like a call-in. Ruben was already in property management. Now this
Yeah.
is coming in through the door.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
and so that's kind of where it started. I've only worked for, I'd say, 1, 2, 3 property management jobs, where the reason why I would leave one to go to the next was because of a higher pay or a higher position. And ultimately, my goal was to become a district manager or even a regional manager, and just, get out of the office, go to different properties. I mean, I pretty much was doing a lot of the work already. But on the last property management job that I had, it was great because it was salary based. So I was able to actually make myself available as a realtor and at the same time be able to work from wherever I was at. It was during COVID as well, so we had the opportunity to work from home. So I was able to divide myself amongst clients and my job and still hit every point on both ends.
Right.
But when I realized that they were switching everything around and they were going to actually remove the option of salary based to all the salaried employees, and they were now going to become hourly, the moment that I got that notification, and literally within hours, I put my 2-week notice.
Right.
I called my husband. I said, "Look, this is happening. I'm not going to make myself available for my clients. We have meetings at the office that I always want to be there for. It's just not gonna play like I wish that it played for a while." So that's where I said, "You know what?" I talked to him and I said, "I'm gonna take the leap of faith. Are you in this with me? Should I wait? Like, what do you recommend?" And my husband was like, "Karina, you got this. Go for it.
That's
I will
awesome.
handle what I need to handle on our end. I know that, we both have bills. We have, we don't know how far you're going to quickly take off." By that time, I did have a savings, though, because I was, again, a real estate agent already at that time.
Right.
So I was able to save up and pay a lot of my, debt off to just kind of be prepared on, rainy days in the industry. But I decided, I took that leap of faith, gave my 2 weeks notice, tried to train other people, and interviewed other people for the job, and I left, and I've never looked back.
Well, that's awesome because you took matters into your own hands.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as you enjoyed it, but it seems like, in corporate America or even small business, they could just change your pay at any time. And
Yeah.
that's your livelihood. That's your family. That's your children's food on the table. And so was there a point where you said, "You know what, I'm not going to leave that up to somebody else. I'm going to take it
Yeah.
upon myself"?
Yeah, and because they knew I had a real estate license, they were actually not only using me as a property manager, they were also using me to do cold calling for them. That's what it
okay.
was. And so when
Well, at least you got the skills, because that's where you generate a lot of your business is by
cold
hitting
calling.
the phones. Yeah.
So then I said, wait a minute. When I started doing the math and saying, well, for every deal that you guys get, how much am I going to make? Already knowing that obviously they're taking a bigger piece of the pie, which again, it's corporate America. That's really how it is. I said, this is like, these are coins that I'm being given, and I'm doing all this work. Well, why am I going to sit here and provide funds to someone else when I could provide it for myself and my family?
Yep.
Why am I doing this? And so that's when I said, forget it. I'm leaving. I'm going to do this. It's all or nothing. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. I'll apply it somewhere else. I have enough on my resume to be to be competitive.
Right.
So that's kind of where I took off. And like I said, I've never looked back.
Yeah. Karina, you just took that "if it's going to be, it's up to me" approach to it, and then you jumped in, and you got into producing right away. Not a lot of agents can do that. As a matter of fact, 70% of agents that get into our business get out of the business in the first year because they underestimate it. But I feel that all of your foundations, your hard work, and everything else, your jobs that carried over, prepared you for this business. And you came at a weird time. You came during the
COVID.
pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having to fill out extra forms just to show properties, and it was just a level of uncertainty out there, and not only in the real estate market but in the world. So that was a tough time to come into the business and jump in face first.
And that's kind of what I say. If I came in on during the time of uncertainty, because no one really knew what was happening. Everybody was like chickens without heads, running around, and I'm sitting here like, well, I'm new to the industry. That became my norm. That was my norm.
That was your new normal.
That was my new normal. What people were saying, this isn't a normal market, it was my normal, because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So I said, if I survived as a real estate agent during the pandemic when things were extremely competitive, then I can survive any market at that point. It's just, you have to be consistent. You have to put in the work. Sometimes, in this industry, there's, peak seasons and non-peak seasons, but it could really be a peak season all year round as long as you put in that work. And that's something that I actually want to ask you yourself. I know that you went from, starting off to taking off in the financial and properties aspects of things. Were you scared, or were you determined, or what did you think when you said, I'm going to open a brokerage? This is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, so I started the brokerage in 2008. So that was when the whole world was in a recession. But I always kind of gone against the grain. Warren Buffett says those are the best times to start a business, is when everyone's jumping out, you should start jumping in. You don't follow the pack. So that's when I had the vision of starting the company. My only thing for the first, I would say 8 to 10 years, was I played too small. I just kind of kept it too small. Never really wanted to expand. I was a little bit comfortable, and then just working with 4 or 5 people. But there got to a point where I said, you know what? I feel that my calling is to build something big, and I want to build a legacy. And once the family started coming into the picture, it just motivated me to try to build something for myself, my family, willable to my kids. So it is just something that I started and pushed forward through uncertainty. A lot like when you jumped into real estate, we just don't always have it figured out. And I think that's a major takeaway in this podcast, is you don't have to have everything figured out to take action. Never let perfection get in the way with good enough. If it's good enough, take action on it. And I think that's why you and I work together so great, because we take action. We take action through our schedules. We take action on doing the things that others won't do, but that's why we have the things that others don't have. That's why we do have land. We do have a portfolio of houses, because we're willing to take those chances and those opportunities.
And that's what I always tell my clients, to my audience. And thank you for those who follow me on social media.
Yep. Follow Close with Karina.
Yes, Close with Karina on social media, TikTok and Facebook. The thing I always say is because a lot of people are so hesitant to want to take that leap of purchasing a home or even selling their home to get something different. You never know unless you try.
Right.
Okay, they tell you no, you don't qualify for a home. Okay, now you know that you don't. But what's the next step? How am I going to get to the yes?
Right.
Because if you're going to sit here and you're just going to wonder, like, should I take this leap of faith? Should I not? Should I hold back? Then what are you really going to accomplish at that point? Nobody's stopping you but yourself. We're like our worst enemies when it comes to doing that, to taking on a challenge. Is no one's stopping us but ourselves.
Right. And I think that's a great point that you just brought up, because it's not just no forever. It's maybe not right now, but let me get you on the roadmap. Let's show you the path of what it will take to attain home ownership. So I think you hit on a great point with that as well. Couple more questions I do want to ask. I know we could kind of go forever. Is you have many irons in the fire, family, business. You have like 8 to 10 escrows, showing $1 million listing later today. How does Karina deal with stress?
The gym.
The gym? Oh, that's a great answer. Hey, that's just a one-word answer. That's what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
I mean, obviously, as you know, now that I'm expecting and I'll be having my baby in June, it's a little bit more difficult, but I realized that the gym was my me time. We're so busy with being here as a parent, being here as a partner, as a son or daughter, and we tend to forget about ourselves. We tend to, at least I know I did for sure. I felt like I was spreading myself so thin. And so when I started to really focus in on the gym, the day that I completely left my job, that again I had to show up at 8:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just a little bit different. The moment I said I'm going to go into real estate, I'm going to start going to the gym as well. I'm going to make that a non-negotiable. I'm going to start going to the gym. I went to a gym. I had no idea who was there. I didn't know anyone there. As you know, I'm not from the town that I live in. I'm not from Madera.
Right.
So just even going, I was so intimidated. I had no idea how to use the machines. I had no idea, like I didn't want to be a joke there, look dumb in front of people. But I took it anyways. I said, they have a cycling class. I'm going to start doing the cycling class. Well, that kind of progressed into, this is my time. And I started going from 5 to 6 in the morning. Nobody's calling me. Nobody's texting me. My husband knows I'm at the gym. Everyone's good. I'm going to start off that way. And then soon enough, I started making friends. And shout out to my friends from the gym, which to this day, I love so much. Every morning, they're all still texting each other, hey, I'm ready to go. And quite frankly, I want to say that I was part of the foundation of forming the group of friends that we are now, because one of them didn't talk to the other one. The other one, they would see each other at the gym, say hi, bye, but that was it. Mm-hmm. Now we know all of our lives, and I feel like I was part of that initiation of friendships that we have, and we became really good friends, and I still kept going. Then we switched our time from 5 to 6 to, all right, 3:30 in the morning, let's get up, rise and shine. We are going to be there by 4 a.m. And so that's where I started, again, my me time. I'm with the girls. We're working out. We're trying to build each other. Like, hey, don't do this way. Do it that way. Or, hey, I saw this workout on TikTok. So that was just my me time. And I think that was for sure something where I could cope with stress.
I think that's such wisdom that you gave out there, Karina, because, yeah, it's the gym is a stress mechanism that helps you. I mean, I don't think anyone would go run 2 miles or, men that do a heavy pump. You don't walk out of there with a bad mood. And that's why you notice at gyms, people open the door for each other. They say hi, good morning, just because those endorphins start moving.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning. People are cracking up, laughing.
Yeah.
And it's not like a party. Like, you're really there to work out and get your workout in and feel sore the next day. Like, that was my, do a workout until failure, or do this or do that. And that positive energy is just amazing when you're in there.
Yeah. You don't see that at like McDonald's, no one's going to hold the door for you there, but at the gym, they'll always hold the door for you. But I also feel the gym carries over to your business, and there's, takeaways from the gym. Showing up every day, at a certain time, that's a win, and that's hard. Number 2, gym requires discipline, which that's why I've asked you where you're come from, because, you have amazing discipline in the workplace, at the gym, at home. But also it's not every day you're going to want to go to the gym, but you still do it anyway. And I think that's a major takeaway that you just displayed was, and it carries over in businesses, we still have to take the action no matter how much we feel. We may not feel like going to the gym, but guess what? We're getting up, we're getting it done. And then when you get it done, oftentimes it feels just so gratifying.
It's so amazing to the way that it was working for me. And just some side note, I at least try to make it to spin class 2 to 3 times a week. Lately, it's been about 1 time, and it's okay. I'm not going to take it hard on myself, but that energy that you get in the gym, the positivity from people, I haven't heard anybody say anything negative. I mean, even if we're in spin class and something's new, someone's out there ready to help the new person. Like, hey, this is how you jump on the spin bike. And I think that the when you start off that way, you get home, you even wake up your kids happy.
Yeah.
You're not like dragging your feet like, oh my God, I gotta go wake up the kids. No, I'm like, hey kids, wake up, good morning, let's get it going. It's gonna be a great day today. And then my husband, it took a while for me to say, hey, come join me, let's go. He's the one who now is the one, babe, are you going to spin today? Or babe, are you going to go work out? Or babe, let's go to work out later on. So being able to do that and bring that back home. And, like I tell my husband, we got to try to be as much, healthy as we can for our kids. Our kids need us here for a long time. And I know you are super good with the gym. I mean, we see you keep a countdown on that, and, you take note of how many days you go. I believe you went back to Sunday Run Day. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Sunday Run Day. So I'm trying to hit 300 days. This is a leap year, so 300 days out of 366. I haven't missed a day yet. So I'm going to go 75 hard. Today was day 68. And then I'm front loading the year a little bit because I know I have vacations coming up and a few other things where, when I turn off, I want to turn off. But
I love how you said that. It's leap year. So you already knew, you've had this calculated probably from like last year on what you were going to do this year.
Exactly.
And that's, again, I think that's how I go about dealing with stress. The other part of things is just being able to vent, even with my partner, where I'm like, hey, like this going on, or he'll ask, how's your escrow going, or were you able to help that family, and being able to, and he understands the verbiage now, which is funny, like contingencies and like all of the real estate words. He's a master of it now. It's just funny. But even too, being able to reach out to you when I'm stressing, when I'm like, okay, Scott, I'm stressing on this. How can I best help? What do I need to do on this so it doesn't, fall through? How can I best help my client? And being able to have you literally calm me down and just like, and you don't even say like, calm down, Karina, but just your tonality, the way that you take over stressful situations for not just myself, I think for everybody here at Western Pioneer. It brings a sense of calmness.
Well, I appreciate that. And it took me a little while because you were so independent. I'd be like, Karina, do you need help? What do you need? I'm here for you. But, I truly enjoy when you and I could just mastermind and put our heads together to, solve something. We're very solution oriented. I like to say we're solutionists.
Yes.
That's something that's always a pleasure. And that's a takeaway for a lot of you husbands out there too. Like Karina just said, Ruben, her husband, now knows the language. Why? Because he's such a great listener to his wife. So that's a takeaway for myself and everyone else out there.
I will say I get frustrated sometimes when I say, hey, we just closed this escrow, or hey, we're giving keys, and he's like, with who? Wait, which one was it again? Because then I'm like, he's like, babe, but you have so much going on. I'm sorry. Like, I got to take out a notepad. But he really, truly is a great listener. And I think that is definitely helpful as well. And maybe he pretends like he's listening. Maybe he's not. But then he that's still good enough.
Well, yeah, so many escrows, who wouldn't get confused?
Yeah, so he sometimes will get confused, like, okay, he's like, which client is this again? Like, he'll scratch his head. He's like, wait, I'm confused now. You opened another one, or you did this, or you're helping another family. Like, what's going on? I'm like, okay, let me catch you up. I have this. We close this. Kind of like a little quick huddle, like, so he knows, okay, this is what's going on.
That's awesome.
So, and I think too, the people here in the office, sometimes I'll have, as Real Estate with a Smile, and I are really close, really good friends. Shout outs to Real Estate with a Smile.
Shout out to you, friend. My guy.
Sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm questioning myself about this, and he's like, what? Did you forget who you are? Like, kind of like that pep talk. Yeah, like that pep talk. Like, well, it's because it got me second guessing on this. And he's like, you forget who you are, huh? I feel like you have to, we have to sit here and remind you who you are. Like, you are close with Karina. You are Karina. This is nothing. Like, we're going to get, so having that pep talk with your colleagues, I mean, Home Loans with Marisol Espinosa, Daisy, I mean, just everybody here at the office having a quick, small pep talk, mastermind sessions. It takes a village, and I think all of us have that same mentality here where, what can I help? Oh, you need help comping out a property? Let's take a look at it. I mean, we did that yesterday. Or when I ask colleagues, like, hey, what do you think, this home is, or what do you think about this offer we're submitting? And again, we know what we're doing, but there's always that, hey, let's have a second pair of eyes.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make it better. Let's see if we can be better at what we're doing. So there's always going to be room for improvement. And again, I think that having that foundation, having the village outside and inside the office is amazing.
Yeah, and the takeaway is your environment. Do you put yourself in the right environments, whether at work or at home? Mm-hmm. And that's just, what we try to build here too is culture and everyone getting on the same page, positive mindsets. I know we could keep going on. We definitely have to do a part 2 of this. Karina, do you want to give one last takeaway or anything you want to say to your audience?
I'm just thankful to be able to sit here. I'm thankful to be able to serve the community. I have gotten involved with the community, being in the leadership. Yep. In leadership committee at
speaking at colleges.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, my favorite, being a guest speaker at colleges. You're going to read to kids in elementary schools. I'm the chair of the scholarship committee this year with the Fresno Association of Realtors, and so that's very exciting as well. And just being able to give back to the community that I grew up in, being able to provide the knowledge, provide education, and provide that support to those around me. Again, I'm just very thankful. Sitting here is such an honor. Being in business with you is an honor as well. And just fully being transparent and honest. And I think that's kind of where we all need to remember where we started from, how transparent we need to be at all times, and not changing, always being yourself through the whole process.
I love that. There were so many takeaways in this podcast, Karina. I know the audience is going to really appreciate that. I mean, just from your strength, your discipline, your caring, your love, your environment. I mean, we could go on and on. So I can't wait to do this again. And, you left us with the message of, giving back, and that's why you get back. You give love, that's why you get love. You give out respect, and that's why you get respect. So that's a major takeaway as well.
Thank you. And most importantly, I want to, once again, give a huge shout out. I'm so grateful for my village, from my husband, my kids, my siblings, my parents, my in-laws. I mean, it really, I'm just so grateful for everybody's support. I really don't think I would have been able to make it this far without scolding and without celebration too. So I'm very grateful for that, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here, and I can't wait for part 2.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Karina.
Thank you.
All right. That's another episode of Elevate with Scott Handley. Tune in to the next one.